Hey,
Hello,
how you doing,
Anthony.
mate? How you doing, Paul? Good, thanks. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, mustn't grumble. It's a hot one today, isn't it?
It's warm, mate. It's still a Wednesday, and it's still spiritual talk time, though.
It is. Absolutely. So, according to my viewing figures, we've got at least 15. Oh, here they come.
Here they come.
I don't know why I've just got Facebook. Oh, here we go. Here comes Kelly.
Facebook user, times two.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not sure who the Facebook user is, but that's great. So, hello, whoever that is.
Yeah, hi. I think you need to put your names on if you're going through StreamYard, guys. Put your names on there.
Yeah, plus if you're going through the spiritual talk group that we've set up, you have to give, I think it's StreamYard, permission to put your comments on here. So if you see that click up before you jump in, just press yes. All it is just so that we can see your name and you can see the comments that people are saying, talking about. So yeah, hot one again today, mate.
God, it's warm, mate. I'm glad I'm not wearing all that clobber like I did on Friday, but I really enjoyed Friday. How about you, mate?
It was good. It was a good evening. We raised, how much was it?
314.
No, 341. We had some more donations.
Yeah,
341.
Yeah,
we had some more kind donations come in, so we did really well in the evening. So thanks everybody who attended.
Yeah, thanks ever so much. It was so enjoyable, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
And for a good cause as well.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about tonight's guest.
Yeah, so Nick, Reverend Nick, I believe.
The Reverend Nick from Littleport Christian Spiritualist Church.
And you did something there, didn't you, mate?
Yes, I did a service recently. I was really a good friend of mine, Linda Ray. She recommended me to the church initially, but obviously when COVID hit, everything went up the wall, and I only recently just done a service there. But what a great bunch! What a great lot of guys they are over there. So
pretty enjoyable then, mate.
Oh yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Let's get Nick in, shall we? Let's introduce him and get him in.
Drum roll, here we go.
Yeah, here he goes.
Boom, boom,
here we
boom,
go.
Boom.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening, Nick. How you doing, mate?
Marvellous. Not really the weather for wearing black, is it?
Not really. Not maybe either.
No.
But my other job, I work in a shop which has got an aircon unit that is permanently stuck on frozen, which is absolutely gorgeous in this weather. So I'm right chilled, loves. Right chilled.
Awesome.
Oh, we need one of them.
I gotta say, Nick, I mean, one of the things that attracted me and asked you to come on here was your energy is amazing.
Bless
you.
you.
And you was saying just before you come on air that you are trained, kind of trained at Shakespearean.
Yes.
Did you want to?
Well, yeah, I mean, back when I was but a teen, I've always been involved in community groups within the local area.
Yeah.
And one of the first ones that I joined was the Littleport Players. I was one of the founding members, so to speak. I went along and they did Aladdin. I was originally cast as the genie, which everyone saw as the big role because around about that time, Disney were doing the first cartoon version of Aladdin. Yeah. And it was a whole big character. But within that particular script that we did, it wasn't a very big character. And I ended up being recast as Abanazar, the nasty old man. And I remember it was all in it was a potted pantomime, not a pantomime, pantomime. Everything was in rhyme. And bear in mind, I was 15 years old. And I'm 22 now. I think you've actually shared my date of birth, so everyone knows how old I'll be this year. I'll be 43.
No, I took that out, Matt. I did save your blushes. I took it out.
I don't mind. I'm not vain, darling.
I did wonder why you put your date of birth on your bio. I thought, oh, okay.
I always do. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah,
but I did when I did the Aladdin thing. I did a huge monologue right before the end of Act 1. And I still know what it is. I can remember word for word. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Well, how long is it going to be, Nick?
No, you carry on.
I'm in front of tabs and everything, and I'm saying, so Aladdin thinks he's in the clear Well, I'm not finished, nowhere near. I'll get the lamp by some device and make Aladdin pay the price of his foolhardy interference. I think I'll arrange for his disappearance to some far and distant foreign spot. Then I'll have reached my goal and got complete control of all the land. No opponent shall against me stand. But for now, I think I'll wander amid the greenery to give the stage crew a chance to change the scenery. And of course, the thing was, back then, it was this kind of weather, all completely soused in black, this huge long black wig that went down to my backside.
Yeah.
But I had to draw a beard on because I was extremely prepubescent. And, you know, and now I have to struggle to keep this one under blooming control. So, oh, how things change.
That was awesome.
Well,
that is awesome. We're definitely going to use that. If we ever do 8 outtakes, we'll definitely use that.
Absolutely.
Well, it might be in the clips video, Nick. That might be that sketch.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nick, please tell us about Littleport Christian Spiritualist Church.
Well, let's see. We were founded as a church in 2012 on the same day as my ordination, in actual fact. My involvement with the New Christian Spiritualist Society had begun 6 months before that. But if you look on the grand scheme of things, really, it started in 1998. One of those community groups that I was involved in. This time I was on the committee of the local sports centre. And I'd got a reputation locally for being into what the local people would have described as, and certainly the members of the committee, that weird stuff. And they sent me along to keep an eye on this group that had decided to hire one of the rooms. Now, Lynn and Kathy had moved to the area and were opening up an actual spiritualist church.
Okay.
So they sent me along to watch, and I went along to help out and keep an eye. And they got me making the tea. Now, at the time, being an 18-year-old who wasn't totally aware of spiritualism but knew the practices of it, I wasn't aware how important tea making was in spiritualist churches. I wasn't aware of the absolute pomp and circumstance and ceremony and actual responsibility of it that it was. So when the service was finished, Lynn came up to me. She goes, "So, Nick, do you think you'll be coming next week?" And I said, well, yes, I think I might. She said, "Perhaps we should find you a new job then. I don't think that the congregation enjoy drinking Nat's pee." And that was my welcome to spiritualism. I felt so at home, and the new job they gave me was treasurer. So I kept going along. We moved from the sports centre to Queen Adelaide Village Hall for 6 months. After that, we moved into the village hall at Littleport, and there's been a church in the village hall at Littleport ever since. That particular church started as an SNU church, as an independent, then became SNU. The SNU church moved to Ely, which is like 4 miles down the road.
Yeah.
Lynn and Kathy had moved on. I'd been president for 4.5 years, and I thought, you know what, I'm only in my early 20s. This is a bit much. I want to go out and enjoy the world and experience things. So I joined the circuit and started serving other churches. And let them get along with their own path. And then a few years later, I had a phone call from Lynn saying, "Open a church for me, open a church for the New Christian Spiritualist Society." And I said, "Well, I'm not a minister." And she said, "Well, come and visit me down in London for 6 months and you will be ordained." And sure enough, June the 22nd, I believe it was, in 2012, the new Spiritualist Society, as it was then, opened a church in Littleport Village Hall and has been there ever since. And obviously we've been progressing further and further and further. And when we obviously the pandemic hit, we'd been a little practiced at doing this online stuff. The medium secretary that was introduced to you from this church, Reverend Wendy, my deacon, bless her, she passed away last year. But she'd been very ill for a long time. So we'd been broadcasting live on Facebook Live the first half of the service for about 3 or 4 years. So when it came to actually putting the whole service on, it was a little bit like, oh, this is new, but really it isn't. So we'd got that base ready. So that was why, you know, it was well practiced. And of course, everybody loved my usual welcoming of good evening, friends, every time we went into the village hall. So it kind of stuck. I don't have catchphrases. I just say random things and then suddenly people start repeating them. It's a little bit like my healing prayer and the closing prayer on a Thursday night. But
yeah,
your words, Paul, absolutely very kind of you. But it is all about the people that make it up. You know, there's so many characters all under one roof, but it always blends. And, you know, when people come along, we're keen to make sure that everyone is welcome. I know that there are people who always struggle with the Christian spiritualist bit, you know, as much as there are people outside of the movement that struggle with any form of spiritualism.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
Yeah.
But, you know, my upbringing was that, you know, the world is the church because God built it. So this is where we praise. Whatever roof you put on it is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So that feeling of welcomeness, I'm glad it's still there, and I'm glad that you felt it, because, you know, it's what it's all about, really. In actual fact, without the members of your church, you'd be sitting here talking to a wall rather than a camera, because there'd be nobody listening.
Yeah.
So, Nick, question from me. I know you explain what you've elegantly explained, but for the viewer's sake as well, what's the difference within a religious sense, coming from, you know, say people are brought up in a religious way, whatever that religion is, to being spiritual, inverted commas, and giving readings and mediumship and all that kind of stuff? I know you've explained a Christian spiritualist sort of association, churches that you're involved with, but how did you change from being structured to more sort of flexible?
I don't think I ever really did change from being structured to being flexible. Like I said, I always was. I remember sitting in. Lynn published a book. Well, I published a book for Lynn recently. She used to do these trance sittings every Tuesday, and they were put in the Psychic News, Iconoclast. And I remember being down in Stansted Hall listening to one of them. And the question of the day was, should spiritualism be organized? And the reply, and I'll never forget, is spiritualism would do well to be organized, because it's all about having a certain framework. And any religion, to be a religion, must be two things. It first must accept that there is a creating force in the universe, and that the second, it must have some form of structure for people to come together under. Now, I'm a very old-fashioned spiritualist, in the sense that the New Christian Spiritualist Society has brought back to our principles. We have 8 principles rather than 7, admittedly. And for the Christian spiritualists, the 8th principle is that we accept Jesus Christ as Lord, Savior, light of the world, and the best medium there ever was, not to mention Ela. But the point is, we kept with liberty of interpretation, because liberty of interpretation allows people to understand those principles that we spiritualists hold sacred, the fatherhood of God. Gives everyone that small phrase, such a tiny phrase with such a big impact, with liberty of interpretation, allows people to say the father and motherhood of God, the brother and sisterhood of man. It prevents exclusion. Just because it's written down, it's not set in stone. Only the language is set in stone. The meaning of it, the understanding of it, the way we interpret it does not. And that's where other religions fall down, in my view. You know, because at the end of the day, perfect example for myself, it's Pride Month. You know, that's my 43rd year gone past of Pride without attending any kind of Pride event. But you know, within religion, you know, my personal life gets a right royal bashing because of the way people have interpreted the word of God and scripture. You know, this is where I did warn Helen, I do get a bit naughty. This isn't naughty, this is fact. But in St. Paul, there's a word that is translated into homosexual, and that's arsenkoites. I kid you not. That is genuinely that's the coined Greek word, and it was a colloquialism, and it has no official translatable meaning because it was a colloquialism. You know, one of these phrases that was used in popular culture to describe a group of people that's been lost over time. So people have taken that phrase and used the word. I mean, the word that's actually in there right now wasn't even invented until 1941, and yet it appears to replace this arsenkoites word. But in actual fact, it meant something completely different. It doesn't mean the relationships of monogamy and love and compassion that we have now. It was always something else. And so without that liberty of interpretation, it becomes set in stone. With liberty of interpretation, we can see and perceive God as whatever we feel that God to be within us, that part of God that's within us. Like we see our family of the brothers and sisters of earth. And the point is, you know, those few tiny words that have been lost over time because of legality, they're so important, and it keeps that freedom of worship and that looseness. I like that openness of worship that we have without becoming draconian and hardline and so enforced. So I hope that answers your question. you will have to. My area manager at work, whenever I'm on a Teams call, if I go on too long, because he knows I do, he just does to me. Is like, okay, you've made your point, Nick. Shut that gob of yours. But you know, I mean, I can talk the hind legs. There are no donkeys with hind legs in Littleport, so so that's my fault. So, but yeah, I hope that answers that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I visited Nick, I know it was online, but even though I was online, and I mean, I'd love to come over and see you guys when we're able to go back and meet in person. But it did give me very much a sense of you guys were like a community. And I've done quite a few church services over the years, but yours stuck out for me. And I use this quite sincerely. It's very much a heart-centered approach to what you do about community. And I really, really like that. And I would urge anybody who's even slightly interested, give you guys a look on a Thursday evening. I think it's 7:30, isn't it, every Thursday?
Well, it used to be 7:30, but I was always running late, so we made it 7:40 instead.
Oh, okay.
We need to change the banner now.
Yeah, we quickly change the banner.
So I told them I'd be keeping them busy. But yeah, it's 7:40. It used to be literally because of my full-time job, my other full-time job as I call it. I was always running late, and it just stuck. Plus it's a bit different, isn't it? You know, 7:30. Well, then all of a sudden 10 minutes later some little message pops up on your screen. It's like, oh, why are they being awkward, you know, and not sticking to the standard starting times? Because we like to be different, we like to be awkward, we like to have those little nuances. And I'm grateful for the thought of the community part, because on StreamYard it would be so very easy to not have that sense of community, because you, as you well know, we're only limited to having 10 people on screen, whereas with you know, something like, for example, Zoom, you can have everybody sit there watching, but then it starts to lag and people feel left out. There are certain rituals and habits, I call them rituals and habits, certain rituals that we have within Littleport that have always been part of a service. You know, right down to the very last, bless him, my dad, when before he passed at the beginning of this year, he used to run the kitchen for us. And at the end of the service, I would yell out, "And the kitchen is now." and then you'd hear this rattle from the other side of the hall as the shutter went up. Open, good night and God bless. You know, it became a habit that got stuck, and people used to enjoy it. And I deliberately didn't do it one week, and everyone was like, "What's going on? What's wrong with Nick? Why is he upset? Is he upset? Have they had a fight? Have they ever?" No. But it's just because people come to expect these things. Like, for example, as Paul will be well aware, Bully's special prize, because now we don't have the ability to stand in the hall and say, okay, where am I going? You go wherever I point you by bringing someone up. Bless them. It's so funny, really, because I used to do this at the end of the night when we had the raffle. I used to call out for the final prize, Bully's special prize. Nobody really knew what I was talking about until they started doing reruns of Bullseye. But then Sam and Hannah, bless them, they're regulars at the church, and I was away working one week, and Hannah took over the Bully special prize bit for me. I never got it back. It was like 2 years ago. To the extent that last Christmas, not even last Christmas, the Christmas before, everyone clubbed together and got me to buy a bendy bully off of eBay to present it to Hannah. Of course, she took it home with her, look after him, feed him, keep him fed and watered. And now he's part of the service every Thursday night. Because we raffle off the readings is the point. Get to the point, Nick. See, it might not be a mediumship night, but my guides and helpers are still like, get to the point. You've forgotten where you were going, haven't you?
Yeah. I did
but they wave the bendy bully, and we raffle off the readings every Thursday night, and the final reading is still Bully's special prize, and it's become part of the structure of what we do on a Thursday night. And it's little things like that help demonstrate, I feel, the community side of it, because it's not just about some geezer in a dog collar standing up the front droning on all night, because people would either fall asleep, turn EastEnders on, or just switch us off if it was dull and boring like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, following on, mind you, we got a comment here as well from Karen Moulton. I love Thursday evenings.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, awesome. Is that a word? So, just following on from that, Nick, I don't worry, I'm not gonna reveal anything about your TikTok.
Be as tough as you like, love.
I was going to talk about your TikTok account.
You can if you wish.
You do realize everyone's gonna. Oh, Nick's got a TikTok account. Quickly look. So, but there was one video in there, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to share it to screen. Okay. But I think everything that you've been talking about, and I think this encapsulates, it gives an essence and a flavour of who you guys are. Do you mind if I play it?
Go for it.
Oh, that didn't go right.
What was that about not revealing anything?
That wasn't a setup, by the way.
Bless him.
Yeah, I love this video.
George.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. I'm just going to get rid of that quickly before something else comes up.
You don't really. Your viewers might not want to hear my impression of Miriam Margolyes.
It is priceless. That's all I'm saying. It's priceless.
Yeah. It's
emotional, Nick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. The music has changed. It's gone more upbeat. The music that I chose actually for that original title, and that was the very first title sequence when we first went online. The music's called True Faith. It was a free thing that you could get from Purple Planet. It was lovely music on there. And I chose that one, and it became synonymous to everyone that watched with a Thursday night. But unfortunately, it became too synonymous for me because in January, my father passed away.
Yeah.
And that song was always very emotional anyway, because the last person that appears from the pictures of the church, because all of those pictures, as everyone that came over the years to Littleport, that last picture was our George Leahy. He was our healing circle leader. He passed away before the pandemic. And he was actually the first, full-time member of the church who'd passed away since our opening. So it was a bit emotional. And then in the September of last year, Wendy passed away. And I added the picture. I snipped out a little bit of one of the videos for about 5 seconds and pasted Wendy in. And it became even more emotional. And then when Dad passed away, I snipped it in, but it was just so emotional. I could not listen to that music. It just destroyed me every week. And people could see it. People could see Nick slowly going from, well, hey, he's a nut job, to welcome to Thursday night at Littleport. And that was no good for anybody, especially me, but certainly not for any of our members. But we've always had the huge amounts of photos, so I had loads to choose from for that title sequence. So we borrowed a community version, a rock version of the BBC news theme tune. And I just revamped it a little bit and changed it a little bit and included Dad in the title sequence, obviously, so that it gave that little bit of difference. But, throughout the pandemic, everyone's been through something and everyone's been through a lot. But, in the September, Wendy passed away. In the November, a friend of mine who I've known since 2002, worked with him forever. He worked with us at Littleport in my retail job. He passed away and he was only in his early 30s. And then Dad as well, and I performed their funerals for all three of them. And it was gradually getting closer and closer and closer. So that music, as much as I love it, the reason it doesn't sound right is because it's sped up for TikTok, because it was slightly over 1 minute.
Okay.
But if anyone wants to look back at one of the old videos that are available on Facebook or YouTube, on my YouTube channel, I've got another 30 odd people to get an actual dedicated link on YouTube, just hinting, if anyone wants to follow the YouTube channel. It's a lot easier to say youtube.com/Revd Nick Brown rather than Q8597433TTT45756. But it was a beautiful piece of music, and I still love it, and I do listen to it actually. But those pictures is like 8 years of fun and laughter and Mickey taking, really. And it had to be part of the titles, to remember where we've come from makes us direct where we're going and what we're doing.
Well, first of all, though, it just obviously we're sorry for your loss. It has been a difficult time for everybody. Both Anthony and I know people that have had COVID. Yeah. But we are going to go to questions in a second, Nick. I know, Anthony, you've got another one, haven't you, Anthony?
Well, my question's been taken up by Carol.
Okay, well, before we do that, and again, just to kind of echo the great job that you guys do over there, Samantha has put a lovely comment up.
Hey. Oh,
it's one of the best things I've ever done, joining my family at Littleport Spiritualist Church. It says it all.
Bless her.
So that's a lovely comment.
You've got a lovely atmosphere, I feel, Nick, at your church.
It's a very, very lovely and supportive group. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm harping on about things, but I have to draw on my own personal experiences to reference and explain it. Since Dad passed away, he was a big part of the church. He was Paul, if you do, I mean, you're Bury St Edmunds, aren't you?
I'm in Norwich now.
Oh, you're in Norwich now. So
yeah.
for the first 15 minutes of your arrival, Dad would have been telling you alternate routes on how to avoid tractors and traffic jams. When you're going home, he would find a shorter route for you in his head. He's an ex-copper, so he would find a shorter route for you on how to get there. Then he would know everything about you, and you would definitely know everything about him, because he'd tell you the same story every time he come.
Brilliant.
Usually to do with falling off a roof in a thunderstorm. That was a popular one. And, you know, everyone who's not just those that were originally members of the live church when we were before the pandemic, but the new family members who've come to us through the pandemic. You know, I sat around Mum's for half an hour today. She had 3 messages from 3 different people, all members of the church, either the online community or the physical community, just checking up on her and making sure she's all right. And, you know, it's just such a lovely thing for me to know that my extended family is looking after my blood family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It feels good. Okay.
So we'll put Carol's question back on the screen.
Thanks, Carol. No worries.
She has apologised, Anthony.
We all love you, Carol. It's fine.
We do. We do. She's always sharing our posts.
Oh, bless you. A family member. Well, Carol, I can tell you that my ordination was carried out by the New Christian Spiritualist Society. The New Christian Spiritualist Society is an umbrella church. It's kind of like an umbrella for pop-up churches. And we ordain our own ministry. And that is, you know, that in itself was an issue to some within the spiritualist movement, as well as without the spiritualist movement. You know, it's like, oh, you can't be ordained. Oh, you must have just gone and clicked a button on a website. Yeah, absolutely not. I was traveling from Littleport to London before Lynn moved up here. You know, every couple of weeks to do my training with Lynn for the ordination. But no, there are two really important laws that allow any religious organization to ordain its own ministry. And interestingly enough, they might have different numbers, but they are both worded the same. And it is the European human rights legislation that's been adopted into our statute books, but it's also the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. When it comes to religion, it's a matter of conscience. And within it, it says people are allowed to appoint members of ministry for their own groupings. Any religion is a group of people that come together, and we have a right to appoint our own ministry. And so long as we, you know, do background checks and keep it all legal and above board and have some form of structure to it, we don't get in any kind of official trouble, because nobody can say anything. There is no official list of religions in the United Kingdom, never has been. Not since the only time there was ever an official list is when it was the only allowed religion of the country. We've always been quite lucky to be in the United Kingdom that's quite open when it comes to religion. But yeah, I mean, I've had issues from certain people within the spiritualist movement who say, oh, it's all fake and you can't do that. Well, yes, we can. It's the law, so get over it. You know, it's simple, really. So long as you know the facts behind what it is that you're doing, no one can ever get you, because we've done our research, we've done our homework. We can't perform marriages unless we've got our own building. You know, that is every religious. And when it's so funny, people say to me, oh, can we go to that lovely castle or that wonderful hotel and you do the marriage for us? No religious service is allowed to be performed in any civic marital building. So no ministers can. It's against the law. But so long as you play by the rules, the only time you need to register as a minister is if you are going to do prison visits. And And of course, if you're going to the hospital, you better make sure you tell the matron who you are, otherwise she'll batter you one. I know this because my sister used to be a matron herself. But, you know, legally speaking, there is no real laws. I don't have to have a doctorate in theology, a degree in theology. You don't have to. All you have to do is be of, certainly as far as we are concerned in the New Christian Spiritualist Society, is be of a kind heart, be of an open mind, willing to learn and understand the many little pitfalls and rules, but just be a genuinely decent person who wants to help people, because this isn't a badge of authority and honor. It's a sign that says, I'm here, come and get me, I'm here to help. And that's really it, you know. I did have a few issues with the mainstream religious organizations. But, you know, if you've got nothing nice to say about someone, don't say anything. So here endeth the sermon.
Okay, yeah. Nick, we've got some more questions coming your way from Edward here.
Have you found that the Christian faith have been open and accepting of spiritualism as a religion? It's been extremely challenging. You will quite often find when you mention that you're a Christian spiritualist, it will go one of two ways. You'll either get this look, and that's your cue to start explaining it, you know, like I've been doing, or you'll get this look. You know, and it's that fear of, my word, how can you mix Christianity with spiritualism?
Yeah.
Because, you know, because of that thing that I was saying about things being set in stone, there are simple and easy responses that don't require any naughty language, unlike you will have heard from our principal minister, Paul, on numerous occasions, when it comes to how can Christianity and spiritualism mix. And the fact is, there's this huge thing going around at the moment. It's been going around for years, but the internet has helped rebuild it. There was bless you, thank you, Carol. There was a huge investigation into spiritualism commissioned by the Archbishop of Canterbury. And they didn't resolve that we were nut jobs and monsters. They actually said that we should be watched because we were potentially a force to be reckoned with as Christian spiritualism and spiritualism itself. Yeah. But the point is, you know, everyone has their own view and their own opinion. The more right-wing you get in any walk of life, the more danger there is of risk. And some people don't even realize that they can be hardline Christian, but there are people like that. I mean, we'd had a stall at one of the local fates years and years ago, and there was the member of who will remain nameless churches, not the main church in Littleport, but one of the others. They came to our stall, saw copies of Psychic News, picked it up and paid the 30p for it, or whatever, you know how long ago it was, paid the 30p for it. And you could see her reading it as she was walking away. And for every step, her shoulders began to drop. And then all of a sudden she stopped mid-sentence, mid-pace. Her foot came back. She recoiled from wherever it was that she was going, screamed some expletive referring to the paper being something to do with something that you would find on the bottom of your shoe, ripped it into pieces and threw it up into the air. We used to have eggs thrown in at the village hall, abuse hurled. But do you know what? I will be honest, it's not so bad now. And these kinds of events have helped that, because people can see that we're not demon worshippers and that we're not raising the dead. But the instant argument, if anyone ever has a go at you about being a Christian spiritualist, who was Jesus talking to in the Garden of Gethsemane other than the disciples? Elijah and Moses. Were they alive or were they deceased? There's your answer.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Keep it straight to the point.
Yeah. Let's not get onto the Bible. We could be here all night. Absolutely. We've got another question coming, I think, from Zoe.
Hello, Zoe.
And I guess we haven't really talked about your mediumship when, you know, so this is perfect, actually. When was your first spiritual experience?
Yes, well, I was about 3 years old. I didn't know it at the time, but I always used to sit in my nan's house on my dad's side, and I'd talk to her mum. I remember her so clearly sitting in the chair in the corner. She'd always have this little old-fashioned turban-style hat with the net that pulled over the front of it, and she'd sit there and talk to me, and I'd talk to her. It wasn't until I was around about 13, 14, I found out that she'd passed away a year before I died. She passed away a year before I was born. But I have absolute vivid memories of conversations with her. But I think the biggest memory from that time was I was in nursery school. All right. Now, picture this. It won't be too difficult. I was sitting in the Wendy house playing house with my friend Paul. See, I knew back then. But yeah, I was sitting playing house with my friend Paul. And this man in a hood come walking through the wall. And rather than being, shocked or surprised or fearful of it, I told him off. Because if you're going to start walking through walls, you're going to bump into people on the other side if you're not careful. And he found it quite funny, and we chatted. And I used to see him every now and again. It wasn't until 1999 when I joined Circle with Lynn, he appeared again, and he was actually my doorkeeper. And he'd been the poor what's it? He'd got the worst job ever. He'd been keeping my feet for so many years, And there used to be a saying back when I was in my teens and early 20s, avoid September and being around Nick, because something would always happen to me that would be somewhat life-threatening. September's me. I had a mini heart attack when I was 24 in September. Oh, wow. I had a meningitis scare when I was 25. In September. So many car accidents, I had one or two of those. There was always something, but so he's got his work cut out for me, bless him. But when I was 14, I sat up one Halloween night. Naughty boy, I know, I was 14 and I sat up and I watched this scary program. It was fake, but it was based on reality. And it freaked me out because they were showing things that looked familiar to me and I didn't fully understand it. And it kind of, that awareness that, whoa, everything that I've seen is real, it kind of flipped a switch. And I had a massive nervous breakdown. I was getting ready for my GCSE, my first year of GCSEs. I missed 6 months. I was off school. We had to move house. I originally lived in Ely. But we had to move house because of it, because I could see things coming through the walls and hear the scratching and hear somebody every night used to call my name from down the hallway around the corner from my bedroom every night. It was horrendous, but I got through it. And here's why I had such passion for the acting and everything. It was my drama teacher who helped me. He said to me, Nick, the only thing to fear is fear itself. And I said, right, okay. What? And he goes, get down to library and read up about it and start with spiritualism. And I did. Wow. And it made so much sense. And I went through all various different kinds of guises of mediumship, because whilst all spiritualists have the potential to be mediums, not all mediums are required to be spiritualists. And that's just a fact. But I tried many different forms and controls and boxes for mediumship up until I found spiritualism, or at least it found me. And, I walked into that first meeting on a Thursday night in Littleport, and I felt at home for the first time ever. And I sat in circle and then started doing the development. And, one of the experiences I had, just briefly, thank you, when I was 14, something appeared to me, or someone appeared to me in the drama studio. There was this bubble of light suddenly appear, and there was a shadow being cast from it under the crack of light under the door in the drama studio. And a friend of mine who was with me actually saw it as well. His mum actually comes to the church now. It's quite funny. I spend more time socializing with my friends' parents than I do with my friends. You know, it's just the nature of the way it is, dears. But this thing appeared, and the shadow was coming from inside, not underneath the door. The shadow started inside, but there was nobody stood there.
Yeah.
And I freaked, but I'd learned a little bit about tuning in, to the extent that I heard, "Nice to meet you, I'll be back. Nice to meet you, I'll be back." It wasn't until I sat in circle, he did come back. And I later was able to research him when he'd give me information about himself, that he was a real person who did exist. He'd passed away an hour before that event, because I knew when it was because of the time I'd had off school. And I knew what day it was, and I knew what time it was because it was lunchtime, you know. He passed away an hour before that event. And it was like he knew that he was coming to work with me at some point, should I choose to do that. And he was just checking in on me to see what he was letting himself in for. And it was wonderful, really. And looking back, even though those days were quite scary, they're really quite comforting now, because I understand what it is. And that's the lesson for everyone. Understand what's going on. Understand why it's going on. It will be comforting, not filling with fear. Yeah. And that's for anyone, really.
And that's the main thing, really, isn't it, Nick? About, you know, the fear that can overwhelm people, can overwhelm us if, you know, if we let it. And that's, like you say, if you research it through what your feelings in relation to what you're getting, then of course it's going to make sense in some kind of capacity.
It's also a state of mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very much so. Thank you for that, Nick. Now, it's come to that time of the evening, and we do messages. Now, if you would like to join in, we would love to see you work.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to try getting people in the studio if they want to. If we get a message for someone and they don't want to, then that's fine, guys. We're going to put the link up in the message of the chat column in a sec. So, guys, let us know if you'd like a message. Please like and share, all the usual.
And if you can please share it in your stories, guys.
As well, absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, get it in your stories so it goes out there, because it doesn't really do like if you're just sharing it. Thanks, guys. They've just put the link in already. Awesome. So, yeah, keep sharing. And who wants to go first? Do you want to go first, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Right. Let's see what we've got here. See, I even though I remembered you saying it, I'd forgotten, but I thought, why are they so close with all this? Yeah, I'm only chit-chatting. Why are you so close? See, they know. I don't need to. There's no need for a script. And in actual fact, one of the things that always tends to happen when I'm linking in is that everything that I say, although it be random, isn't random. It's pertaining to the person that's coming through. And that whole point about not working from a script, not seeming to know what's going on, but always seems to go to plan, is in connection with this lady that's coming forward right now. She was... in my family, she'd be called a bit of a bruiser. But most people would consider her a very passionate, strong-willed family woman with great courage and strength. Thank you. She was well padded, to say the least, but it was the strength of her shoulders. Everyone always said she got these broad shoulders. And as she steps forward... oh, bless her. She says, I'll come as I am. And this is the kind of person that she was. She would always come as she is. She wouldn't dress up for the occasion unless it was someone she cared about. It was very rare that she dressed for the occasion, because people come to expect her to be her, and nobody was allowed to overcome that with her. I do feel very much that this is on either a mother, grandmother, or aunt. I wouldn't go any further back, and I certainly wouldn't come any further forward. But yes, it's mother, grandmother, or aunt level.
We should say to people out there, if you recognise this lovely lady,
yeah, please do join
comment,
in.
and then we'll get you in as well. I know, Jane, you've jumped in. I'm not sure. I'm just going to bring Jane in. I'm not sure if you recognise this connection. Hello, Jane.
This is where you hope everything
Hello,
works.
can you hear us, Jane?
Hi, Jane.
Hello, Jane.
Put your microphone on.
Can you hear
she's frozen.
I can.
Oh.
Hang on.
We can't hear you.
Do you understand the link that Nick is giving the lady? Oh, you're frozen, Jane. So sorry.
Oh, hang on. What was that? There was a jump there.
You're a bit crackly.
Oh, I can see. Oh, we can hear you.
Yeah. Are you near an internet signal? If not, we could try smoke signals. I'm not sure where you are. The lovely internet. It could be. Yeah.
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 Is this your grandmother or aunt, my love?
No, we're gonna have to.
No, you just hate it when that happens.
Yeah, we're gonna
definitely
bounce you out. Sorry, Jane, because the internet
Jane.
signal is so poor.
Can't hear you.
So yeah,
I was getting an initial C with this lady as well.
Those of you who are coming on here, if you can put your name on, I know it says some of you says Facebook user. If you can't change it, put your name in your message as well. So we know who you are.
They have to agree when they come in via the group. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Nick. Carry on.
You're right. So this lady is working with an initial C. I don't know whether it's for someone here or one of hers, but I'm also very. What is that? Oh, don't you just love it when they give you the cooking? That's apple pie. It must have been one of her delicacies or something she liked, but I can smell the apple pie and it feels very homely. This lady also, I'm very much aware, would be coming through because that whole battle axe side of life, that absolute, bruiser. You're in need of this right now, whoever this is for. She's saying to me that I was the gatekeeper on earth. Everyone would be very, very keen to, hide behind her coattails, because she was the troubleshooter of the family. And when it came to, losing her, it was obviously a huge loss. But this lady really, really wants whoever it is to know. I do feel I'm working with a lady who is a recipient.
I can try and put her in again and see if we can get a better signal.
Go for it.
Oh no,
not
she's
looking
gone.
good.
It's not looking good. No, I'm gonna have to remove it. She's gone, I think.
But yes, this lady just wants really to let whoever it is know that she is the gatekeeper, full stop now, not just on the earth plane. She's talking about certainly the situation around the person at the moment to do with what. This lady is in very much two minds, and she would always be jumping backwards and forwards regarding, she wants to be here to talk to me, but she'd rather be with you, dealing with you and looking after you. So she's kind of like trying to jump between. I can see that Christine has asked the question. She wasn't the kind of person that would talk about her health too much. There were quite a few people that probably didn't even know that she was ill. So for some people it would have been a shock, but I'm going lower down in my abdomen with the condition of passing. And when I ask for any more details, she just frowns at me as if to say, mind your own beeswax, you little what's it. Some things are best left unsaid. But she certainly did suffer more than she let on. There would be times you would have noticed this sudden shortness of breath or this sudden wincing that she hadn't quite managed to control the pain. But she really, really, really was not one for taking sympathy. She'd dish it out to the right people, but she certainly wouldn't be willing to accept other people's sympathy because it was part of this personality that she had. So I don't know if anyone can accept that lady, but she's certainly a force to be reckoned with, and I'd love to have her on my side. So if no one's going to take her, I'll keep her. I don't mind.
It could be Jane. Bless her.
I think it probably
in Newford somewhere. Not sure where. Bless her.
Where she's gone.
Sorry about the technical problems, guys. It's just really important that that you have a fairly decent internet signal. The only other thing is, if you've got Chrome in your browser, StreamYard does work a lot better on the Chrome. So I don't know if you can hear that. I've got a massive great Chinook coming over. Yeah. Okay. So
Christine's asking questions here, but
yeah. The problem. Can I answer that, Christine? Christine, I just want to say, because sometimes I'll give you names, and sometimes they not necessarily. So it's difficult for us to go. Yeah, so what's your name? We tried to have that two-way conversation.
Oh, Karen as well.
It sounds a bit like grandmother.
Yeah, she had stomach cancer.
I will say that whoever this lady is belonging to, one of the things, see, you should always give what you get because they'll get you in trouble. There is a locket. It's very simple, very elegant, very beautiful, but there is a locket or a circular kind of pendant with this lady that would sit. I think it started out quite low down her chest in her youth, but as she got older and the neck kind of did what mine does all the time, it started to lift up and get a bit higher, and she would make a joke about that. She would always make a joke about herself. She would never make a joke about anyone else. So if that can help pin down.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've got Mandy just come in. Mandy, do you understand this? I'm just going to bring you in to stream. Do you understand this information Nick's been giving?
Yeah, it feels as though it's my nan.
Right.
Okay. Could you turn your volume up slightly, please?
Yeah, just a bit, Mandy.
Yeah, we're having sound issues tonight, I think.
Yeah, it isn't a very good volume on my phone.
Oh, no, that's better.
Oh, perfect. Perfect now.
So it sounds like your nan. Would you understand this whole needing to be your gatekeeper right now, and that feeling of needing her coattails protecting you right now?
100%.
Because she was always the go-to gal, and I don't the go-to lady. I have to use that phrase, the go-to gal, not girl, gal. She was the most down-to-earth, most brute. I'll be honest with you, I haven't had to edit her much as far as language is concerned, because she was always cautious for the first 5 minutes with new people, but it only took 5 minutes, and then it was rattling out however she felt it. And I love that about her. I have to measure my own self. Imagine how it is trying to monitor them. But she was, I have to say, every time I work, there's always a theme, and Paul started it off with this lady. It's that family huggy feel, that she was the glue that held everything together. But the point is, she still is. She still is, because there have been arguments and criticisms and, dare I say it, bitching and sniping. So there you go. Leave me alone now. All this sniping and everything that's going on. But the memory of her and the reminders of her and the words that she would use is actually kept it all at bay and kept it in check. Because of everybody, there's a bit of her in all of you. She says, there's a bit of me in all of you. She says, but you're the peacemaker. And that's why you get yourself in trouble, because you're always getting your beak into everyone else's business by their standards. But that's exactly what I would have done, because how are you going to fix things if you don't get your beak in? And she was such an energetic woman, such a passionate woman who really, really, whenever you went round and got a hug, you had to go to A&E on the way home just to see if anything had cracked or bruised, because she was a hugger. She was so passionate. But you know what? I say that in the past tense, but it's not in the past tense. There have been times when you have sat there and you felt, right, okay, I'm slow down. Okay. You have sat there, you've been feeling down. You've suddenly felt a shortness of breath, but then a warm, fuzzy feeling. She says, it's not stress, it's a hug from me. You should remember what it feels like.
Wow.
So don't panic. You know, that warm, loving feeling. It's like a warm, lukewarm water trickling down the back of your neck. And no, it's not this weather and the sweat, she says. This loving warmth trickling down your back. That's me giving you one of my special hugs. And, you know, you need to recognize those when they come, because I'm always there when you need me, but I'm especially there when you don't. So just be careful what you say, because there are some memories that are of a little bit naughtiness. You do tell jokes about her. You don't hold back, but she loves it because she was exactly the same.
Yeah, totally.
Bless you. Just awesome. As she starts to step back now, I have to give... Oh, I had one. I had a picture of one of these the other day in my mum's garden. A clematis as a memory link with her, and also as a parting gift, the flower clematis. So it's a big open flower, creeps up the walls, and I think she says it sounds like me. Really, I drive people up the wall, but I've always end up making them look nice. That she really did like to stretch the analogies. It has to be said. Even that one was hard by me, but I will leave her love with you and hope that was okay for you, my darling.
Very much. Thank you.
That was awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Mandy. Thanks ever so much. Bye. Bye, guys.
Mandy. Bye.
Awesome. Linda, I love that. That's praise indeed from the boss.
Yeah.
There you go.
Linda.
See, the problem is people aren't used to seeing me work. They're used to me seeing me host and chair. Most of the services I do are on Teams, not on Teams, on Zoom. So it's kind of like, so people haven't really seen me work that much.
Yeah.
Well, feel free if you want to do another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If you want to show us your skills.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just do as I'm told. Okay.
I walked into that.
Okay. Right. I've got a gentleman coming forward now. He is... Okay. Right. I'm slouching too much, so I've got to sit up. By the way, he's also told you, Anthony, to sit up too.
Yeah.
He says, I'm a bad sloucher. You're worse because you're always slouching.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh dear, I think I know where this is going. Right. Okay. So I'm aware that this gentleman was very much about he had an air of formality and an air of strength about him. But there was this, I'm not going to say soft side because he's probably slapped me around the back of the head. But whoever this message is genuinely for, I do think I might be with you, Anthony. There was this soft side to him that the only people who really knew him knew, because most people looking inwards to him would see him as a caricature of himself, and they only saw the exterior. He says, this is the risk with our family. I don't know what that means, but he obviously does. He's standing here and he's got this, and I had to make the comment because here I am sitting, sweating me what's-its off, and he's got this huge jacket on, and he says, I'm as cool as a cucumber up here. I can wear what I like. But I do feel that, like me, he didn't always dress for the occasion. He would tend to appear to dress to the opposite of the occasion. Like I used to get in trouble as a kid during the height of summer. I'd be walking down the street with a long black jacket on. It's that kind of thing. He never really wore what was appropriate for the time. Because he didn't care. He was a trendsetter. Thank you. He was a trendsetter. I do feel this gentleman on a fatherly, grandfatherly link. Either it's a father with a bit of emotional distance or a grandfather who was actually closer and more of an impact on us than is usual. And I have to say that, thank you. He says, slow down, you're getting ahead of yourself. He was the peacemaker in the family. I know I said that earlier on, but he was the peacemaker in the family in the sense that he always knew how to calm people down. It's like he could look at you and literally reach down your throat, grab your soul out, iron it, press it, clean it, give it a spritzer, put it back in, and you felt good. Even with just a few words, he could shake you up, turn you around, and send you on your way without actually having to feel any sort of dressing down. He could dress you down without actually dressing you down. He was the kind of person who could give you a slap without actually people wanting to feel like they've been slapped. I will say that old story, my sat nav, could be wrong. However, he has taken, if this is for you, Paisley, would you understand why he's taken a liking to Paul, other than the fact that he was like me and slouching? But he's such a lovely bloke. He was the soul presser. He was the yes to the slaps. Okay, so this gentleman. If it's not for you, Paul, I can tell by your face it's probably... sorry, Anthony. So
I can take a lot of that, Nick.
You can actually, yeah. Right, okay. Would you... right, okay.
Oh, we got Alan saying it's my granddad to a T, Nick.
Oh, hello, Alan.
Nice to see you,
right,
Alan.
Okay. Let's decide who this is for, then. Give me something that will be definitive.
Oh, I don't know about that, Paisley.
I'll
take it.
I thought it was the other way around, Paisley.
Checks in the post, Paisley.
I have to say, I now realise why I was drawn to you. It's the hanky in the pocket. It's the hanky in the pocket. This is the kind of thing he would have done. I do feel that, as well as the big jacket, whoever this, would you understand that he was quite thin? So it's so nice when thin people come through to me, because I feel thin again. I haven't felt thin for about 40 years. But he's very slender, and he would wear these dinner jacket type things that would often look quite tight. He was, to be honest, you could see someone walking around wearing what he would wear today. The fashion,
jeans, that kind of thing,
that sort of thing. He was ahead of his time, and he was the kind of person who, whatever he wore back then, people could wear right now and look fashionable because he was way ahead. So if that's where the link is, he obviously likes your fashion sense. So Paul, you are so Anthony, you are a trendsetter.
You haven't seen the velvet jacket, mate, when he pulls that out.
Is it red? Is it
no,
red?
No,
he wears it when he's a referee at the Crucible.
It's a dark navy, mate. But
you got to get a red one.
I will now.
Yeah, that will be
If I may say so, it would be very.
I'd pay to see that, mate. Let's face it.
Christ, I look like I come from Butlins, wouldn't I, Nick?
No, you'd look very handsome, dear. It would look very becoming on you.
By the way, Paisley's taking lots of this information.
I think we are with Paisley actually, because he's interested in Anthony's fashion. So he's such a nice bloke, and can I say this without sounding unkind to anybody's relatives? It's very rare for a recipient, for a communicator communicating to a recipient through me, to allow me to be purely myself and have that humor. He does have humor, don't get me wrong, but he's allowing me to be myself, and that really is the theme of the message. To be able to have a flirt with Anthony, he had no problem with that, so he was very ahead of his time. He wouldn't have had a problem with me at all. Whereas people of his generation probably would have naturally. So he it wasn't just the fashion that was ahead of his time, Paisley. It was everything about him. It was his soul. Oh, bless you. Thank
I
you.
think you're with Paisley, Nick.
Yeah, I think so. His soul was as fashionable as the clothes that he wore, you know. And, you know, I've got to take my glasses off now for some reason. I don't know whether that's a memory link or something, but I think it might have been when he was getting a bit serious. I love working with this guy. It is his message. You have, right, okay. The reason I had to take them off is so that I can put them back on as I frown at you. Paisley, I have to say, you have stopped being yourself. You have held back from being yourself for the benefit of others. And didn't believe in me being a psychic until, oh, bless him. Yeah, I know someone else like that. His message is about that, allowing himself, and he's gone very, very quiet. He's gone very calm. So it's obviously for all the bravado and the laughter and the action, when it got very, very difficult, he struggled with it sometimes. And that's why he was so wild and bright and colourful and like he was with his passion. But you have not been doing what he's been doing with me and allowing me to be myself. You haven't been allowing yourself to be yourself. And that to him is an absolute no-no. You are a beautiful person, inside and out. Your soul is like his, allowing and open to others. So do not ever stop yourself from being yourself, because it will be of beneficial to yourself to be yourself, but it will actually be of benefit to others, because if they actually listen to what you're saying, then you will help them. And only by doing that you can help yourself, because you're feeling the burden of that frustration of holding back, and you've got to stop doing that. Because he's now starting to get the color and the energy back, and he's even given out fashion advice. Anthony, you know, a nice and I say this without, I've been seeing this since I saw your name. That name, actually, he would love that as your handkerchief, Paisley. A Paisley handkerchief.
Oh,
that
fair
would look
enough.
wonderful. He says, I also like the fact that some people can pull off wearing a jacket without a collar. Very fashionable, very, very cool. And he's like giving away all of the praise. You know, he really is all about that, the having the fun. He's even referencing now the fact that if you look at the picture of Paisley, you know, it's obviously a theme, Paul, because a light jacket with a dark top underneath, you see.
Absolutely.
And he's referencing that the fashion is a thing, you know. So
he's not seeing my trousers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, same here.
Well, we were asking before the service if we could, but you wouldn't honour us with it.
No.
And so, Paisley, I do hope that his encouragement to be yourself encourages you to do that, because yes, we are at liberty, not only of interpretation of the principles, but at liberty to do as we would, and not necessarily take the advice of spirit if we wouldn't in their life. But I do feel that you would have taken his advice. I do feel that you need to take his advice, and I can see that it's your birthday tomorrow as well. So happy birthday
Paisley.
Yeah, happy birthday, Paisley.
And
hope you have a lovely day and spoil yourself.
Have a few glasses, the champers.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. There's a lovely message on here. You'll probably know this lady.
Oh,
Lisa Scott.
Oh,
hang on, I've got the wrong one. I think I put the wrong one up. She says you've never seen your work.
Yeah, that's actually very, very true. In actual fact, I haven't forgotten, Lisa. I was your raffle prize, and I do owe you a reading at some point. I'll be in touch over the next 4 days. Before I get myself in trouble. But yeah, not many people have seen me work, to be fair, because I'm always, you know, chairing.
Do you want to go for one more?
Well, let's make it the triumvirate, shall we? Okay.
Yeah, you stole the show tonight, mate.
Oh,
Yeah,
You stole the show.
I only do as I'm told. Because I need telling. Oh no! There we go. See, every time I say something before.
Oh, here we go. Look. Oh, sorry, I just clicked on it by mistake. Oh no, it keeps jumping away. Karen.
Oh, bless you, Karen.
People are coming in.
Lovely.
I've often been told that I should not hide my light under a bushel.
You shouldn't.
But no, it's I do whatever I need to do. To be fair, right? Let's see who we've. Okay. Oh dear, somebody's in for a telling off. I just felt my collar felt, and this hand go on my shoulder as if to say, thank you, mother. I just seen a comment come up from my mum. Nick never does as he's told. Hello, mum. Right, so this collar felt, thank you. Okay, right. So I've got this this other gentleman coming through now. He's certainly a much more formal character than my last communicator. He is a very paced, very level-headed, very calm gentleman who, thank you. I do believe in his life he would have stuttered, because the way he's speaking is how I used to stutter, believe it or not. And when you feel that stutter coming up, there are certain things you have to do about thinking about what you're saying and actually slowing it down and speaking with this deliberate, precise delivery.
Yeah.
He's making me speak like that.
Yeah.
So I do feel that this gentleman would have stuttered, but he did overcome it. But he maintained this level of calm, deliberate preciseness virtually all the time. It was very rare that he would let go, and it had to be a really big event for him to let go. Once again, I do feel that fatherly, grandfatherly, but I'm erring more towards the dad with this gentleman because of that element of discipline that comes with him that I associate. I think somebody's actually getting it. There you go. Right, okay. Would you understand, Lisa, that you should never, ever, ever allow yourself to be noticed by the medium when they're linking in? I will say there is this element of fun with him. And doing silly voices from time to time. I think that might have been one of his original. Here we go. One of his original coping mechanisms with the stutter was to do silly voices, and that's why I had to be a pirate, Nick. But it was those difficult times when he struggled to get the words out, because the more important it was, the slower and harder it had to be. In particular, I'm being made aware of an extremely emotional loss that he suffered. It felt like he was the only one that was suffering, without sounding unkind, because it just brought him so within himself, and everything had to be forced out of him. I do feel, Lisa, you would have been central to bringing him back to who he is and was and should be. Regarding that, it was would you understand that there was a very symbiotic relationship? You could both see each other and know what each other was thinking to an extent. There are certain things that we don't know about each other that we'd prefer kept secret, but it doesn't always work like that, let's be honest. But you had a very open and honest relationship.
Nick, can I ask Lisa, do you actually want to come into the studio and see Nick, and so Nick can give a more detailed message if possible? Understand if you don't want to, if you've got your curlers in, that's absolutely fine. But if you'd like to, if we can share the link, guys, and people can then.
Oh, she was closer to him.
Yeah, I worshipped him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to jump in, Lisa. I'm just going to ask if we can share the link on the page. I don't know why it's not sat there. It should be if it was pinned. I'm not sure why that's disappeared.
It was up the list, I think, earlier.
Yeah, for some reason it should stay pinned to the page at some point.
No.
Hello, Sharon. I look like a troll at the moment.
I'm sure that's not true. But let's proceed with the information that I have got. Lisa, look, I know that you come on pretty much every Thursday, either live or on playback, and make a comment here or there. But it's not like we actually know each other per se, other than your family, which is no small thing. But it's not like you're a member of the family that I know anything about, really, which it's now going to change, which is always nice when you get the mediumship for someone in the group like yourself, Lisa. Look, Dad's here, and I know there's something that he wants to say, and that he's struggling to say it because of that element of how he's speaking and that having to be precise. He will get to it, I'm sure, but he was the kind of person that would go around the houses for that. And that was one of the things you loved about him the most, that he would be considerate of your feelings, even if he did have to put you on the spot or the naughty step. He's saying to me that you've been thinking about putting yourself on the naughty step lately, because you're worried that some of the things that you've been thinking or feeling might not be right, whatever that means. But he says, go with your gut, girl. Go with your gut. And, the one thing that I love about him is that he was very emotional based. Don't get me wrong, it can be very dangerous for a personality to be emotionally based. But not him. Because he was such certainly, from your arrival and onwards, a very, very laid back kind of person. That emotion is what gave him that strength to keep going, but also give you all the strength to keep going. And I know you're probably missing that right now, but you really, really shouldn't, because there is no way that he is not around you. This whole emotional topic that he wants to, here we go. It's coming back again. There's somebody keep telling you that you are wrong. And he wants to give them a whack, because you're not wrong and you should follow your gut. And it's that whole thread through the whole message. He's been building up to it. You are not wrong, my girl. You are not wrong. You go with your gut. You stand for yourself. You stand up for yourself, but you stand up for those that you love as well. Do not hold back. Do not stop yourself because people think or expect that you should. Don't worry about decorum and manners and all of that. What's it? People might have figured out by now that what's it is the word that I've borrowed to replace any word. And he says, don't deal with all that what's it, love. Just get on with it. Get on with it. And it's almost like he wants to look you square in the eye and raise his eyebrows and go, get on with it. It just makes me look scary, but him, it made it look really, really, level-headed and emphasis with that. He wants you to know, yeah. You do. So get on with it. Now he wants you to know that you've been feeling something that you don't necessarily associate with yourself. It's actually him coming through, because right. I've got to show you. Literally, it's here, just below the diaphragm, and it's a tenseness there, and it feels like everything is coming up from there. Yes, it's the emotional chakra, but that was how he felt when he could feel a stutter coming, and that's where he was controlling it from. When you feel that feeling in your gut of slow build up and need to control from there, that's actually him overshadowing you and saying, look, Lisa, I'm right behind you. And that is what he wants you to know. Nothing has changed. As our former prime minister used to say, nothing has changed. He is right by your side. And just as he's about to step back, I asked if there's a memory link or a gift he wants to give as a parting gesture. And he says, yes, I absolutely do. Something about a bracelet. I don't know whether it's a chain or a charm bracelet that is either his or is in memory of him. So I don't know if you can understand that. But if you've been wondering what to do, oh, okay. Well, there you go then. So I will leave his love and his strength and his compassion, and he goes, kisses with you. And I'll say God bless you and thank you for listening.
Well done, Nick.
Well, that was absolutely brilliant, and we've had some lovely messages while you were hard at work there.
Bless everybody. It's all very kind of you all, but I only do as I'm told, you know.
Yeah, there's another one here from Jane.
Oh, bless
Great
you, Jane.
evening.
Oh,
yeah.
Do it. Get on with it, girl. Deal with them.
So, Nick, before we have to say goodbye, because it's gone so quick,
wow.
What's coming up at the church in the next, tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we have got one of the New Christian Spiritualist Society's very own ministers serving us, Reverend Tony Swindles. He's back with us for he's getting a quick one in before what happens in July. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We will be going back into the village hall.
Yeah.
So what's left for the rest of the year is we're hoping to verify this week a date for having a ticket due that we have traditionally had every year, didn't last year, for an evening of clairvoyance sometime in August. Fingers crossed I can get that sorted. More details to follow. Thursday nights will be back in the village hall, but we're taking you all with us. You're all coming with us because they've got Wi-Fi in there now. I'll be taking the whole kit and caboodle, a projector we're acquiring so that we can actually have the live services in the village hall, so people can still be part of that service as well. Because as much as it's been great to get a community going live on Facebook since this whole situation has been going on, there's no way we can abandon that community to the oblivion of what was before. Everyone who joins that group, everyone who watches is family. It's just our way. So you're coming with us. So whether it's in the Chateau del Nick as the Boudoir del Brown as we are tonight, or whether it's in Littleport Village Hall, everyone's coming with us. Like I said, I believe the first week of July we should be back into the Village Hall, please God. As far as the New Christian Spiritualist Society is concerned, in talks with many a new potential minister coming on. If someone listens to what I said about being a minister at the beginning, if that's something that you feel is you and that you could represent the society as I have described it tonight, hit me up. We're a growing organization that's open to all, you know, under the umbrella of those 8.5 principles. My role, you see, I don't tend to go by my title. You know, I know it was on the poster, the most Reverend Nick Brown. Yes, I'm just Rev Nick. To the extent I used to describe myself as just Nick, someone then started calling me just Nick. You know, rather than Rev Nick, it was just Nick, which I loved. I really, really did. But I don't go by Your Grace, because anyone who's watched Game of Thrones know how that ends for people called that. But my role within the society of supporting Lynn to promote Christian spiritualism and the tenets of the new Christian Spiritualist Society is to get us growing and continue to be a force of love, of good, of compassion, and, you know, just allowing people to be themselves and be allowed to be themselves, more importantly. And I think that's the most important, you know, thing that I try to offer the society, certainly by, you know, talking about Game of Thrones and, you know, chatting up, you know, via the medium, you know, it's just being me. That's what I need from people for the new Christian Spiritualist Society. People who are prepared to just be themselves.
Yeah.
You know, when I take my collar off, I'm the same person as when I put it on. Just because I got the position of supporting Archbishop hasn't changed me. I'm still the mucky-minded, foul-mouthed what's it I always have been. I got that role by being that foul-mouthed, mucky-minded what's it. So why would I change? If that describes you, you're one of us. You know, and you know, and you know, you've been all willing with the compliments all night, Paul. But I have to say that after you left the service, because as you saw, me and Lynn and everyone, we all chat like nobody's business after the service. The comment came, he's definitely one of us. You know, and I can tell just by getting to know you tonight, Anthony, if you can cope with me, you can cope with anything. You're definitely one of us as well.
Oh, thanks
you know, so, you know, carry on with your work that you're doing here, because by giving people an opportunity to not only demonstrate mediumship, but who they are at the heart of it, it helps promote what spiritualism should be.
Absolutely.
And that is not something that's sitting down the end of it, although I have sat down the end of a pier, but not something that's sitting down the end of a pier, all in mystery and sitting there chanting and umming and waiting for a toffee crisp to fall out of the lampshade. You know, we're not that. We're real people. People need to see that. And your format is absolutely brilliant for that. So carry on.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
By the way, we should ask you, Nick, also to pick somebody for a free reading. We give a free reading away once a week to encourage.
Your turn this week, mate.
Yeah, it's my turn. So you've got the lovely Linda Ray, haven't you?
Yeah.
To do still.
So Linda, I don't know if you're listening.
She has been. Yeah, she has been.
You won last week.
Yeah.
So I get to pick someone from the comments, do I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, through the list.
Hang on. Let me. Okay. Lynn used to use a gladioli, but I haven't got one, so I'm just gonna use my clothing brush to scroll up and down the line and say, where are we going? Where are we going? It's you, and it is Lou Cook.
Oh my word! I had that. I mean, I'm not joking. I had that in my head. So perfect.
There we go.
Lou, congratulations.
Another one, Lou.
Yeah, that's the second one, I think. But okay, brilliant. Thanks, Nick, for that. Next week's guest, by the way, before we shoot off, is Samantha Dooley. And I do know Samantha, Nick.
I've seen her. We've never actually met in person.
Okay.
But, I've seen her.
You said her, have you, Nick?
Yeah, she's English born, but lives in Australia. So, and she's prepared to come on live and do some messages, whatever time of morning it will be for her in Australia. So
it's going to be an early start. I thought it was bad enough having people on from Canada and America.
Absolutely.
It's afternoon. It's afternoon.
We're true.
Yeah.
truly international, and we got some big names coming up. So Nick, and you're very much a part of that. And we're all the same in this community. There's no anyone better than us. We're all the same. And it's great that you spread the word and the love here tonight. We are so happy, and we've had such fun tonight. It's been brilliant. You coming on.
Thanks ever so much, Nick, for what you've done.
You're very, very welcome.
Just a little reminder, it'll be 2:30 in the morning for next week's guest. So, yeah.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that, mate. But, yeah. So, thanks, everybody. Guys, thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thanks again, Nick, for spreading the love. It's been brilliant. Thanks,
everyone, for joining us. It's been great.
Bye, guys.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot.
Bye.